Hey guys, I wanted to do a quick video on Solidity functions as a follow-up to my last video, Smart Contracts 101. The focus of that video was mainly coding, so I just wanted to take a step back, go over a couple of points, and just ensure that everyone's got a real clear understanding of functions in Solidity and how to use them. So consider this an addendum to that last video, although you don't have to have had watched it to get value out of this one. It'll be a pretty short video, so stick around and let's do it. All right, so for starters, let's just take a look at the official Solidity function definition. Now, this may be a little overwhelming to read or difficult to parse, but no worries, we're gonna go over each item individually, okay? So to start off, as you may recall from the Smart Contracts 101 video, if you watch that, we define a function with the function keyword, like many other languages, followed by a function name, and then in parentheses we have any function arguments. And in Solidity, we have to declare the type of each argument. So an example might be string name. After that, we have the visibility specifier, which is optional. There's a default value for that, which we'll go over in a second, followed by the state mutability modifier, which is also optional. And finally, we have the return type of the function. And again, this may be something like string name from our 101 example. And then, of course, you have the function body in curly brackets. All right, now let's take a look at an example and start to map some of these items to our example code. All right, so here's our getGreeting function from the Smart Contracts 101 video. So you can see, first off, we have the function keyword, followed by the function name. This function doesn't take any arguments, so our parentheses are empty. Then we have our visibility specifier, public, and our state mutability modifier, which is view, and again, we'll go over what this means in a second, followed by our return type. So returns string memory. And if you recall from the 101 video, memory specifies the data location type, and that the returned value will just be stored in the function memory, and basically will be erased once that function returns. All right, and then inside the function body, we're returning a string concatenation of the greeting prefix and name. All right, let's dig a little bit deeper into the visibility specifiers. All right, so we're going to start from basically the most secure to the least secure specifiers. The first one is private, which means that this function is only visible in the current contract. Okay, it can't be called by other contracts or anybody else. Then we have internal, which is similar to private, can only be called by the current contract or any derived contract. That means any contract that inherits from the current contract. All right, then we have external. Now, this is sort of the opposite of private, where this function is only accessible to an external contract or outside of the current contract. However, there is a little workaround for this. You can actually still access this within the current contract with the this keyword, this.function call. All right. Finally, we have sort of the least secure visibility specifier, which is public. This is the default for functions. So if you don't specify the visibility, then your function will be public, which means it's visible externally and internally, basically to everybody. And an example of this would be the getter functions that Solidity provides automatically whenever you declare a public state variable, which again, this is something we encountered in the Smart Contracts 101 video. So if you have a state variable, such as name or greeting prefix here, what Solidity will do is, behind the scenes, it'll automatically create a getter function for these two, which will be public, just like the variable is. All right, so one more note here. It's typically a good idea when figuring out which of these visibility specifiers you want to use to adhere to the security principle of least privilege. So although functions are public by default, it's pretty good practice to mark them as private or internal, unless you have a good reason to broaden the access to external for another smart contract or public for basically anybody. All right, with that said, let's move on to our state mutability modifiers. All right, so our example function had the view state mutability modifier. And what this modifier does is it tells you basically whether or not the function can, or to what degree the function can modify the blockchain or data on the blockchain. All right, so the blockchain is basically a big state machine, and each transaction or each function call may or may not modify the state of the blockchain as a result. So basically, view functions can read state but cannot modify it. So an example of this would be, again, from our greeting smart contract in the 101 video, our getGreeting function. Because this is returning state data, namely greeting prefix and name, but it's not actually changing any data. All right, next we have pure. This is similar to view, only that pure can neither read nor modify state data. Okay. Finally, we have payable. Functions declared with payable can accept ether sent to the contract. If payable is not specified, the function will automatically reject all ether sent to it. Now, we'll get a little more experience with this in future videos where we deal with financial transactions. We don't really have anything like that in our simple greeting Solidity smart contract, but we'll definitely see this in the future. But I can give you a quick example. Let's see. So let's say we wanted to have a function, let's say we had the need for our greeting contract for whatever reason to accept incoming ether payments. So we could add a receive function to do just that. And this is what it would look like. Receive, no parameters. Now we have to mark it as external because this is money being sent from outside. And payable, very important that it needs to be marked as payable in order to receive funds. So that's it. We could just have it as simple as this with no function body, although sometimes you may want to like emit a logging event or something like that. So we could do something like this. And again, this is a little bit outside of the scope of this video, but just to give you an idea, we could log the sender and how much money was sent into the contract. This MSG is a global variable, and we'll definitely cover this in future videos. So something like this. Now our contract can actually receive funds. All right. So I'll erase that since we don't actually need it. And let's see. Yeah, so that's all I really wanted to cover today. Just a few simple points. And again, we glossed over a little bit of this in the Smart Contracts 101 video, but I just wanted to kind of spell things out a little bit more clearly in case people had questions or wanted some more information. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. All right, take care.